Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Curious Coaches Lemonade Stand with yours truly, Dr. Gena. If you're coming in for the first time, this is our little community spot in a virtual space where you get to drop by, quench your thirst, maybe grab a little bit of insight, maybe a couple laughs, a little bit of relationality, and feeling like part of a collective that wants to make the best out of what life throws at you. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for returning. It's so good to have you back with us. It's always a pleasure to join in the community and just to feel the vibe, to circulate the good energy and continuously raise the vibration, because I think that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to do it with you and for you. So let's step into this. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing as these episodes are released on but weekly or bi-weekly basis. And there's always a good mixture. So last couple of releases have been some really cool interviews. Please check them out if you haven't already. And I promise there's some other cool interviews coming up too. For today, I wanted to take back the mic, which isn't that surprising. If you know me, you know I love a microphone. And I think it's actually appropriate given what it is that I want to talk about today, which is a huge, broad topic that is extraordinarily close to my heart, to that of my family and my friends, and that is music. Yeah, I know it's a big, big, huge, wide topic, but I still think it's worth delving into a bit today, at least from the perspective of who we are in this community and what we are seeking, which is always to bring more light in, to maintain and sustain that light, and to be really authentic and genuine about it. There's no better vehicle for that. There's nothing that facilitates that better for me than music. And when I'm talking about music, I want you to know I'm talking about like all kinds of music. I mean, thinking about my own trajectory and how I grew up, my dad, I was about to say my dad is a DJ. He always has been, and long before I got here, and I'm sure he'll do it until he cannot do it anymore, which will probably be when he's left this earth. Knowing him, he'll find a way. And I was raised in just a house filled with music, and music to me is associated with all the emotions, all the self-expression, and it's really an unparalleled way to channel energy, to speak its own language. I think really music conveys and communicates in ways that words just can't. If a picture tells 1,000 words, I think music tells a million. So I can recall, being a kid, actually, even before I can recall, my parents have regaled me with stories for years about falling asleep my first New Year's Eve, because my dad would DJ a huge family and friends party every New Year's Eve. So my first New Year's Eve, I'm a September baby. So I would have been 3 months old. I was asleep on a speaker by a certain hour of the night. So if that doesn't tell you how I was raised and what music brings, I don't know what will. The thought of putting my own infants to bed on a speaker was, yeah, when I became a parent. However, as I said, it just speaks volumes to how much music was part of the fabric of who we are as a family, how we grew up. And that's also because that's the way my own parents grew up. They met at a party while my dad was DJing. So there's no surprise that this is how things are going to turn out. And probably also no surprise that I end up marrying a DJ who happens to be a music professor in his spare time. Just kidding. So yeah, if I think back to childhood days, there was always music in the house. Dad was always DJing for this party or that party. Um, I remember deeply associating even certain kinds of music with the house getting cleaned because it would put my mom into a good mood. And my mom is a clean freak. She comes from a long line of clean freaks. And if you are of Caribbean, West Indian, or Asian descent, which I have all of the above, yeah, and all of the cleanliness of all of them. So the house had to be cleaned, it had to be deep cleaned, it had to be often. And you had to make that job, like, palatable somehow. And there were certain artists even, not even just kinds of music. I'd say if it was kinds, it was reggae, especially things like lovers rock. It was soul music, sometimes funk, R&B, sometimes neo soul, but it was, stuff that you could sing to, always stuff with great lyrics, but also stuff with a great beat. Could be fast, could be slow. I mean, it could be Anne Marie. It could be all kinds. It could be Celine Dion. But the point was that music would literally move you. And cleaning the house didn't seem like the horrendous chore that it was when you were busy belting out tunes and you were cleaning at the same time. And again, I think the parallels of how that plays out with myself and my own family, but it was different musics, things evolve and change even as they stay the same. So if I, compare listening to just it's just absolutely ridiculous amount of things like Keith Sweat, Luther Vandross, while my parents had us cleaning the house. My kids are used to certain house tracks that I always play while I'm cleaning the house, or some drum and bass or jungle, because that's the stuff that moves me and gets me dancing and helps me forget what it is that I'm doing. They know all the lyrics too and would know it's time to clean the house when they heard, um, 2 particular tracks, I would say, especially, just because the lyrics lend themselves so much to the job at hand, and that's, Jax Jones' "Housework." If you haven't heard that, you know, I'd definitely recommend it. Like, it's called "Housework." What better tune could there be for the job? Um, and David Zowie. I think it was a one-hit wonder. "House Every Weekend." That's another big one. The kids hear that and they'd start dancing with some trepidation because they know they better grab a cleaning product or start changing their bed linen or something. But it was a positive indicator. And I think music can do that. It can turn things around for people, especially with that way of being able to sometimes express the inexpressible. I think back to elementary school days. I remember 7th grade, was when I started hosting, like, I guess what today would be like block parties. And, so at age 12, I'd have myself and usually my best friend would be my delegate. So shout outs to you, Kat. And we would collect, I think like $2 at the front door of my home, and people would come in, and that $2 is getting you entrance to the party for the evening, which is going to be DJ'd not by my dad, ironically, but by a good friend of ours, Justin, who lived on my block and would literally be seen pushing his speakers and equipment down the street to my house because no one was allowed to touch dad's equipment. No, 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 that's not a thing. And it was just so reminiscent of stories and videos and such of, how my parents grew up in Jamaica. Like, that's just a natural thing, to see the sound system, man, pushing the cart with the speakers, with the things down to the beach, down to the house that or the yard or the block corner where the party's gonna be held. So even from that, it was another moment of legacy and tradition being enacted. And yeah, for that $2 entry fee, kids could come in and they were guaranteed like 2 slices of pizza and a pop. I mean, can you beat that nowadays? That's a Brook Pocket special is what we'd call it. And you would get to come in and just dance for a couple hours to, the hottest music. And my parents were always really gracious about hosting things like that. I was allowed to have those parties, as I said, from 7th grade. It's kind of hard to imagine nowadays. And those parties just went on, right through my high school life. And that was a big part of my parents welcoming people into our home. I was the eldest in a very strict West Indian household and the eldest daughter. So if you know, you know. I couldn't be any more bubble wrapped than I possibly was. But, or yes, and everyone is welcome in my house. If, I had friends who had gone through rough times with their families, had a fight with their parents, sometimes to the point of getting thrown out as teenagers, they knew they were welcome to come and stay in my house. And we harbored many people that way. And a lot of that really did revolve around the music. as I aged out of high school and actually got up to the point where I've got a driver's license and car, and now we're adults and we're actually going to nightclubs. First of all, I didn't have that seeming rite of passage, which is a messy one, literally, of drinking myself into a really bad place as a young adult. And that was because I grew up partying in my home. I had a healthy respect for partying, for alcohol. It wasn't new to me, it wasn't something hidden or protected from me. So I understood that it was almost a part of the musical experience, not something you wanted to sit and do in a corner by yourself. So I'm not very good at pubs, for example, because of that. I'm not good at sitting and drinking. To me, a drink is to have in your hand to refresh you while you're dancing. It's all about the music. It's always the central. Um, yeah, I think of it's the potomitan. It's that central point, that central pull that everything else really rotates and revolves around is the music. And yeah, in those adult years, going to clubs is great. Like, I'd go to all different kinds of clubs, Friday night, be out jamming hard to, Afro and Latin, reggae and hip hop and R&B and soca and just loving life. And then sometimes at the same venue, shout outs if you, the government in Toronto, be back on Saturday night for a totally different crowd and a totally different taste of music. It would be house music and dance music and, what's now, I guess, widely known as the electronic genre. And seeing so many live performances and concerts. Like, my parents had me at concerts by the time I was 5. I think by the time I was 6, I'd seen Gladys Knight and the Pips live twice. I'd been up with the Temptations, saw Lionel Richie, So music is just it's so core and essential. And, it wasn't also without its trials and tribulations. Music can, although I personally believe it should never, be a divisive force. So take for a moment high school time. That's a time when everyone is striving to craft their identity as individuals. And ironically, to do that, we try and find what groups we fit into. And again, human nature, that means distinguishing which groups we are not a part of. Yeah. And in my high school, it was very, very racially and ethnically mixed, very musically mixed as well. And music was just, again, a very integral part. So I got my own DJing done, had to flex a little bit of my own skills, being on student council for years in high school. One year I was vice president of social, which meant I literally was the one who was in charge of running all the parties, promoting them, booking the DJs, all that kind of fun stuff. Clearly a predecessor for, where I was going to move was at least my personal life, and also clearly a continuation of the trajectory of my family and their legacy around music. And I remember hosting a regular occurrence for a while called Music Days in the Caf. That was literally where live DJs like myself would be playing music in the cafeteria during the 3 lunch periods, just for students to enjoy while they chatted, while they ate their lunch, while some, might have done homework, while lots of them were slamming dominoes. And I always strove to play a diversity of music when I played in the caf. So back in those days in high school, we kind of had some major trends in terms of what kind of music people really loved and were drawn to. And, hip hop was huge at that time. Electronic was huge too. Um, and what was really funny was, if you know, it used to be called Gena beats, the real Euro kind of electronic. And that was extra funny being named Gena. And then there was rock. There was some amazing rock music out at that time. And I loved all of this, all of it. And I would play all of this. Those were kind of the 3 major camps in terms of what was really popular at the time. And I will never, ever forget. Some of my most cherished memories would come from the feedback I would get after DJing Days in the Caf. Yeah, there were the groups that I was definitely very close to and a part of, the folks who would be at my parties and my homes that would, cheer for the popular kind of hip hop music, R&B music, reggae music that was playing at the time, even electronic music. The rock music was kind of a lesser popularity, but still a big one. And as I said, one of my most cherished memories was getting a candygram. Well, you don't know what a candygram is. It was basically when you could, it was something else controlled by the student council in our high school, I think many others as well. And it's basically like sending someone a nice note on a pre-done template where you'd write them a note, you could color it, decorate it however you wanted, and you'd pay a fixed fee. And they were cheap, like I want to say maybe 25, 50 cents. And a candy cane and this cute note would be delivered to the homeroom of your addressee. And I remember getting a few candygrams that were anonymous, so I never knew who sent them. And a couple of them that I really cherish, and I think I probably still have in a memento box somewhere in my house. And I'm not the kind who keeps a lot of mementos, so they obviously mean a lot. Thanked me for the rock music that I would play during music days in the CAF. Would thank me for ensuring that no matter if 80, 90% of the people in one of our school dances loved, the hip hop, the electronic, that I ensured that the DJ also played a rock set. And I think back, it's kind of like the roots of my inclusion started in music. Yeah, I'm figuring this out in real time with you all right now. Because, in the words of the great Madonna, music makes the people come together. Yeah. So anyway, this candygram just thanked me, a few of them thanked me for never neglecting the rock crowd. And, one of them went so far as to say, we know it's not the most popular, and we know you're probably taking flack for it, which I did. A lot of people would be like booing it or telling me to turn it off, and I would yell them down and say, shut up. Like, we're listening to this. This is great music too. Shut up. You enjoyed the other stuff. Be respectful and shut up. With all due respect. And I'm just so grateful that they took the time, even anonymously, to send me that feedback. It meant so much to me to know that my commitment to ensuring that everyone feels welcome in a school dance, feels welcome, in the cafeteria when we're there celebrating by listening to music and just being kids, like being high school students. It's hard enough. Like, it's hard. Those of you who might, just be in high school, coming out of high school, have students who are high school students who are in your household, maybe they're your kids, grandkids, it's a hard time in life. I'm not going to make it harder by not including people. Like, it's the most important time to foment inclusion. So, not a surprise that, hip hop was a thing for me, or that house was. I mean, peace, love, unity, respect, plur. Where can you go wrong? It's why you'll still find me at music festivals. That's why you'll still find me raving. I'm an old school raver from back in the day, and it is completely amazing and refreshing. Talk about sipping and squeezing and savoring with style. It's amazing to me how many people I've met in the last, I want to say, year or two. In my very ripe middle age, I'm turning 46 soon, that are partying, are raving, are loving life, are expressing themselves physically, emotionally through music every weekend, that are older than me. I know folks who are grandparents that are doing this. And I really want you to know that. I really do, because a lot of my friends think I'm a strange anomaly, that, I go out when they go to bed at night. Well, to that, I'll say, guys, there's so many day festivals, there's so many day parties. Or, thinking, well, I'm too old for that. Too old for what? To go out and enjoy yourself? To dance? I will say, caveat, I have friends in their 20s, absolutely. I have friends in their 50s and 60s partying too, absolutely. I think you wanna go where you feel comfortable expressing yourself too. So, when I take folks out who maybe haven't gone out in a long time, or one of my good friends, she knows who I'm talking to, didn't start clubbing till her 40s, and I was so grateful to be the one to bring her into the world of it. Um, you've gotta curate which parties you go to, which events you want to attend, according to where you will feel, yes, comfortable, but also a little uncomfortable. Because again, wanna take this back to inclusion and the diversity of people around you. You want to feel safe, but just a little discomfort. Feeling just a little uncomfortable is a wonderful thing because that's where you grow. But that's also where you can, like, just express yourself with abandon, just be unfettered. And that's what it is to me to be out and enjoying life and dancing, with strangers, with friends, the friends I haven't yet met. I think that's so incredibly nourishing to the soul. That is my self-care. I know people say to me, "How do you do this all weekend?" I don't do it all weekend, first of all. I got kids, like, let's be realistic. But how do you do this, as often as you do, as often as I can, and not feel completely exhausted? Well, that's easy for me to answer because this energizes me. If I were to go a solid month without going out to dance, oh, the pain. Oh, the agony. If you go back to episode 2 and you'll learn about my, short period of being completely incapacitated after my bad motorcycle accident, the moment I could stand with a walker, I was trying to dance again. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, shout outs to my bro Jason who called it. He's like, "You're gonna make a dance called the walker, aren't you?" I totally did. That's how I lifted my spirits. Being, immobile during COVID, I'm gonna tell you, here's a secret I don't let out often. I was so grateful to God, the universe, that I was incapacitated at a time when nobody could go out and dance. Selfishly, that helped me feel like I was not going to just completely die of FOMO because everyone was locked in. And I give mad shout outs and so much gratitude to the amazing DJs who were on Twitch, who were on YouTube, who were just on whichever platform, putting themselves out there and giving people an opportunity to return to their soul selves again, giving people an opportunity to just dance. Blessed Madonna is a UK DJ, and she said, "We lost dancing." That was a really popular song during COVID, and that was something I refused to lose. I'm not gonna lose dancing. So, big shout out to, my girl Tiki Tai, one of my favorite Toronto DJs of all time too. Watching her YouTubes, literally, I felt saved my life on some levels. When I got home, I was out of rehabilitation, but, still tending to my wounds, literally and figuratively. I would have just couch parties in my living room, just light candles, maybe turn on some neon lights, the whole 9 yards. I was trying to recreate the club, okay? And have her set, her watching her, live on my TV was just the closest I could come to being back in the club with her, with that vibe that I need. Like, I'm not even gonna say I love it, I want it. It's more than that, I need it. And it's so fundamentally a part of who I am and how I express myself. And I honestly believe there is very little in life that cannot be worked out on the dance floor. Definitely learned that from my mom and dad. And so, if you haven't let that part of you out in so long, do it. Like, if you've got to start, dancing in your living room, in your bedroom, all by yourself, and then work up a little bit of courage to maybe go out and do it somewhere else. It's so incredibly fulfilling and satisfying. No, I mean, it's great exercise too. It's a great way to form and foment social connection, which I've talked about in previous episodes as well as being such a critical part of self-care and of mental hygiene. Um, as I think of COVID, I don't wanna miss one big shout out to my dad, if you can't tell, I'm a big old daddy's girl, who during COVID threw a block party, a safe, physically distanced block party. This guy, he went around and physically dropped printed out invitations to each and every neighbor on their block. And they used to live on the same block that I grew up on in Scarborough, which is Toronto, Canada. And in that little invitation that he dropped in everyone's mailbox, he announced that on, a certain date, I think it was in May, he was having a safe, physically distanced block party, and everyone is welcome. And it's in honor of all of the frontline workers that are continuing to support society in these really tough, challenging times, and that he wants to celebrate them and just give us all a chance to celebrate humanity and connection again. Not surprising that I'm doing what I'm doing, given where I've come from, right? And he delivered these and told everyone, here's the time, here's the date. I'll be out at the front yard of my house DJing, all different kinds of music. Feel free to drop by, stand on the sidewalk, stand on your driveway if you're close by, like wherever you feel safely distanced and just enjoy the music. Folks, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I wish I had recorded it. I'm so bad for documenting things because so many neighbors from so many different walks of life. You heard different languages being spoken. You saw all different ages out, and people just literally stood on the street. Some people heard about it and drove over, came out of their cars, and just held their own spot for them and theirs, for the friends or family they came with, and just danced and enjoyed the music. Some people singing out loud. And I actually had to bring, I remember, like, a laundry tub, one of those old-fashioned ones, out and put it beside the DJ table because of the amount of tribute, I'm gonna call it. Some people actually wanted to put cash tips. There's a little bit of that too, but tribute in the form of just drinks or even food that people had prepared themselves that they came to just, you know, share and say thank you to show their gratitude for my dad throwing this party that everyone could enjoy. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't need to buy any liquor for a while after that. And, people just really enjoyed it. So much so he had a follow-up about a month or two later. And it was just as, if not more successful, because it was even warmer at that point. So all that to say, I reiterate, music brings the people together. Whatever kind of music it is that you love, and however you want to connect to others or dance to it, just recognize its healing properties. And please, please don't ever think that you can age out of music, dancing, celebration, because it's just such an important part of enjoying the human experience and doing it together. I'll tell you straight up, the lemonade stand where we're at right now is a physical spot. There is no way it would be silent. I would be DJing all the time, or my husband, or my dad, or all three of us rotating. Even my brothers, I'm sure, would join in too. So I think, yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about today, and I hope that it struck a chord for people. I know that I am very, very touched whenever music plays and I watch, people almost lose themselves in it, because I know that feeling. And if you haven't explored music to heal, I strongly recommend whatever kinds you connect to, try it out. You won't be sorry that you did it. Now, I know it's been a while since we've done our one card tarot pull, and my apologies. Thank you for those who've been giving me the feedback, including my podcasts who were like, wait a second, I thought you were going to pull a card for me. Sorry. I told Star I'm going to bring her back just so she can get her card pull for another topic one day. However, got the cards here. I think we mentioned this in my pod with Carrie back in episode 5. This is the Tarot of the Divine deck, which is a very inclusive deck. So, as always, let me do my shuffle on camera. No idea what's going to come out, but let's see how it relates to this topic of music today. That's the one. Card we pulled out today is the card of Judgment. It's a very unique depiction. In the Rider-Waite deck, I was going to say the normal deck that most people would recognize, Judgment has an angel blowing the horn of judgment. You see people almost like they're rising from the dead. It's an idea of a rejuvenation, of Judgment Day, of coming back to life in a new and different form. It's also a card about second chances, second time around. So karma, second chances, new life emerging from the death of the old life. It's a very positive card. I think it's really appropriate. I mean, I know I always say this, but it's been a while since I pulled a card on here, and I think this one really works for our topic of music today. Just from, the part of the conversation where I told you about how music was such an integral part of my healing journey coming through COVID from, my motorcycle accident. Judgment is that second lease on life, a second chance to do things even better than before, one that was meant for you. I can't think of a better way to sum up how I currently heal with and through music, and how I continue to leverage that in my self-care and my healing in the ways that I look after myself. The readiness of this warrior in this card is a great summary of how I feel going into a party, how I feel coming out of it too. A sense of renewal, of rejuvenation. It's actually a really emphatic card in terms of what we stand for here at the Lemonade Stand as well, right? This idea that we are pelted all of our lives with lemons. One thing you can guarantee is there is going to be lemons, and that no matter how many of them you get, you have a chance to turn it all around. You have an opportunity to renegotiate and renew yourself and make a decision about who you want to be going forward. I think I do that every time I touch a foot to a dance floor. I know I'm waxing poetic, but I really can't emphasize enough. Don't knock it till you try it. And now, always want to close you out when I solo pod with our mindfulness moment. And I've got one for us today that I think is very, again, apropos to what we've been talking about here. We've been talking about music, which of course to me involves dancing. And so I thought, let's do a body scan today. We've never done one of those before. If you've never done a body scan, here's your chance to try. And if you have, let's use this method of relaxation. And it really is an opportunity to not be judgmental, to just observe what your body is doing, not try and change it. I think it really goes along with the idea of dancing, movement, and, being expressive with music. So let's begin. First, turn your attention to your toes. Focus on your toes. Just noticing how your toes feel right now. Notice each toe. Concentrate now on your right foot, just noticing your right foot without trying to change anything at all. Now move your attention to your left foot, just noticing how your left foot feels. Observe both feet. How do your feet feel? Notice the temperature of your feet. Can you feel anything touching your feet? Clothing, the floor, the air, your shoes? Notice how your feet feel inside. Heavy, light, loose, tight. Make these passive observations. You're simply an observer, not providing any input at all. Now continue the scan up to your ankles. Passively notice your ankles. Feel your ankles. Breathe. Moving up now to your lower legs. Focus on your lower legs. Concentrate all your attention simply on observing how your lower legs feel right now. Noticing, observing. Mentally scan your knees. Notice and observe each knee. Then take note of how your upper legs are feeling. Just noticing, and then letting your attention move to the next area of the body. Notice your hips, your lower abdomen. Moving up now all the way to the center of your body at the level of your belly button. Scanning your body, just noticing how the core of your body feels. Mentally watch and observe, taking in the details of how your body is feeling. Do a passive scan without making changes, without trying to make anything happen. Notice now your middle back. Observe how your back feels. Scan your sides, your chest, and your upper back. Just noticing, observing. Turn your attention now to your fingertips. How do the tips of your fingers feel? Continue thoroughly scanning your body to observe how each area is feeling. Take note of your hands, the palms and the backs of your hands. Breathe. Scan your wrists, lower arms, your elbows. Turn your attention to your upper arms, noticing how are they feeling. Notice your shoulders, scanning the front, the sides, the back, and the top of your shoulders. Scan your arms as a whole, noticing passively, following, allowing, watching, completely free of effort or direction from you. Continue all the way up to your neck. Notice and observe your neck, the front of your neck, each side, back of your neck. Moving your attention up now to your chin, your lips, your cheeks. Observe your nose, your eyes, forehead, the top of your head, your ears. Keeping this attitude of passive observation, mentally scan your body now as a whole. Do a complete scan from your feet to your head. If you notice anything of interest, you might choose to allow your attention to linger there for a moment as you observe how your muscles, how your tissue are feeling. Go ahead now and do a complete body scan, mentally observing your entire body. You are fully aware now of how your body is feeling, and you've completed a body scan. Notice how you're feeling now, mentally, physically, overall. Observe any changes that might have occurred, all on their own. Let's conclude this body scan with a few energizing breaths. Its last breath in and out. We become fully alert, awake, energized. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Curious Coach's Lemonade Stand. I hope that something in here has connected with you, has resonated. More than anything, I hope that it's inciting you to reconnect with your body, through music, and to maybe find or create a dance floor near you. So until next time, thank you so much again. My deepest gratitude for stopping by to sip, squeeze, and savor with style. Whether you found me on Spotify here or if you found me on YouTube, so glad to have you and hope to see you back again soon. Don't forget to hit subscribe so that you're notified when the next episode comes in. And until then, be well, sending tons of love.